code editor right here. I'm going to go ahead and just create an index.html. And let me just show everybody something really quickly for the people who are brand new. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. If you read the description of the event, you should have Visual Studio Code installed on your computer. I have a video in the event description on Meetup just showing you how to install Visual Studio Code, so you should have it. It's just a code editor, so you could use this code editor for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, Java, whatever language you want to use, Visual Studio Code is good for it. So, if I want to see this index.html in the browser here, I could just slide this here. You can see right now it's blank, but if I go ahead and type HTML and I create just a basic body here, so you're going to see that I have HTML on the top and HTML on the bottom. This is an HTML tag that's wrapping my head, which contains metadata, so information or data that's important for the website, and the body's going to contain everything that you can see. So if I go ahead and just add an H1 tag here and just say hey, and I refresh this, you're going to see hey. So browsers, they're able to render HTML files. So if you pass a HTML file directly from your computer or your code editor into the browser is going to be able to render whatever your file is. So let me go ahead and, for those who have been here and are subscribed, you all know that I go ahead and I create a live share link. For those who are new, if you do have Visual Studio Code, feel free to go to extensions and type live share. And there's this really cool tool called Live Share created by Microsoft. And essentially what it allows you to do is when I click this live share link down here, start collaboration session, you can see starting collaboration session. I now have the link. So for every session that we meet, I'm going to go ahead and post the link here. For the people who are subscribed, y'all are going to have access to this chat here. Y'all are going to be able to hop into the code editor with me and type some code. So you'll see in just a minute, you'll see like Ricky, James, Anna, they're going to be hopping into my code editor. So just give that a second and then we'll get started. And you can see live share. So it's a really great collaboration tool. If you use Google Docs, yeah, so you can see Anna join the collaboration session. Now she's in here. Go ahead, type something, Anna. All right, there you go. Yeah. So you can see that other people could hop into my code editor and just start coding. Cool, cool. And then looks like Anna, James, Javier, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. And Arian, I see an A at the top. I don't know what your name is, but welcome, welcome. If you do the free trial, feel free to unmute and just say hey. Same with Arian Lag. Feel free to just unmute or send me a direct message. That works as well. Toya, what's up, what's up? And Rebecca, what's going on? Actually, I talked to Rebecca before this session even started. That's my sister, so she's interested in this stuff. But all right, so I'm gonna accept read and write. Ricky's in here. All right, so let's go ahead and just look at this component. All right, this is the component we're gonna be building. And so let me ask one of our members. Let me ask Ricky. Ricky, how would you break this up? Oh, Ricky can't talk. My bad. I remember. Anna, how would you break this up? Like structurally, how would you break this up?
The top would be like a paragraph and then another paragraph underneath it and then some sort of like little grid display for the stars and the students and the hours. Hard to see, but I think like maybe like a flex type situation for that.
Okay. So we got,
Like the paragraph up top for the box, and then another paragraph underneath it.
so for this box right here,
Yeah,
you would use a paragraph for this one here.
that's how I would start.
Okay. Okay.
And
And
then
then you would also down here
yeah,
too.
another paragraph because that's got different, font and size and all of that. So that'd be a different paragraph.
All right. And then let me ask James, how would you do it? How would you structure this if you were starting to build this? What would be the top level elements?
Okay, it looks like you have two divs. I'd start off with two divs, one for the top, one for the bottom. In the first div, I'm gonna put some HTML, some HTML, a paragraph, a header. I need a icon for the little clock, then a paragraph after that. Then I need a button and some code for the dismiss. I mean,
So you're saying
yeah,
this
like
right
that.
here,
That's a div.
one
I
div,
have
and then another div for this
another
one.
div there, right? So now in the first div, you're gonna want to put, a header for the scheduled learning time, a paragraph for the stuff under that.
All right, let's
Maybe a
just stick with these for now. So, all right, so you said two divs. We're gonna have a div to contain all this content, and we're gonna have a div to contain this content. Why is separating them as two divs like this the best way to go? You think?
It just seems like simpler to me. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that, but I mean, that's just a simpler way to go for me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not quite sure why I think that way. It's just like all the stuff that I do normally. I'm gonna separate stuff in divs because then with the divs you can have classes and you can change things, and when you do the JavaScript, it's easier to access the different stuff. Can be put in all in one div? I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's like one of those things, when you start doing it, sometimes it's like trial and error. You do it. Is this working? If it's not, you do a little something different.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can come up with.
Yes. Yes. So Javier, let me ask you, why is it good to create a div container to contain all of this related content, and a div container here to contain all of this related content? This is really, really important. This is not just important for HTML, but this is one of the most fundamental programming concepts right here.
You wanna
Little hint.
basically divide what you're working on.
Yep.
Because
Why?
one is the start button and the dismiss, and the other one's more like where the rating's gonna be, I guess.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes. Yeah. So this is related content right here. All of the content within this container or this div is related to scheduling your learning time. This is some information or a description about scheduling your learning time. This is taking action to schedule your learning time. And this is dismissing scheduling your learning time. So everything inside of this container is going to be related to scheduling learning time. Everything inside of here is related to the course. So you have course title, you have course rating, you have course students, course time, last time it was updated, course language, course captions. So everything here is related to like pertinent information for the course. Now, one of the most important reasons why you containerize this with all the content related and this with all the content related is the more you program, you're going to come to understand that this schedule learning time isn't just showing up on this page. This right here might show up on other pages in your application. Now, do you want to hard code this in multiple different locations in your application? No. You want to just code this once. You want to code this once and reuse it in multiple different places. And if you containerize it and create what you'll see is called a component when you get to like React and the Angular and the other languages, is it's going to make modularizing and reusing your code super, super simple. So that's like, if you go to like get your 4-year degree in computer science, that's going to be like one of the most important concepts that they cover from beginning to end, no matter what class you're taking, is modularizing your code, modularizing your solutions, and creating them in a way that's reusable. So let's go ahead and code up those 2 divs. So we need schedule learning time container and course information container. So whoever wants to go ahead and create those 2 divs, go ahead and do that right here. Whoever's in here, let's see. Javier, Anna, we have a guest, and we have Ricky, so feel free. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. And then we need one more div. Yes, beautiful.
Whoa. Multiple.
Go ahead and just delete one of those. Cool. So we have our schedule learning time container. Perfect. And then, so let's just focus on schedule learning time container right now. We've created the divs, we've created the containers. Now inside of this container here, the one for scheduling learning time, let's see, who else is it?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I haven't been able to hear you for like 30 seconds. You're muted or something.
No, I'm not muted. Can you hear me now? You should be able to. Can anyone, James, can you hear me?
Jim,
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay, so that's on your end then, Anna.
Well, you can hear me.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear the other people? Ricky can hear us both. Okay. I was thinking that you deafened, but I would see if you had deafened.
I'm gonna leave and come back.
Yeah, do your thing. Cool. All right. So, let's focus on the schedule learning time component for now.
Hello.
Hello?
Nope, can't hear you.
Huh. Yeah, that's got to be something on your end. Check, go down here, user settings. Give me 1 minute. Let me just try to. It's got to be something in here. And then voice and video.
Okay, I got it. I see it.
All right, cool, cool. What was it?
I recently got a new laptop. It's a MacBook, and it's got that scroll bar, like, touchy thing at the top, and I sometimes accidentally bump it. Not the first time I did that. I should have known better. My bad.
All good. All good. Cool, cool. All right. So we have our schedule learning time container here. Let me ask. Is anyone in here? Ricky can't talk. Javier. All right. So I guess Javier, what are the elements we're gonna be building into this div here?
Paragraph.
Okay. Which
Is that
one?
what you're-
Which one is the paragraph? Because I count 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 5 elements here.
So you got, actually, I think I know what you mean. An image,
Okay.
one, two paragraphs.
I count 1 paragraph here. What's the other one?
The schedule learning time. Would you consider that one a paragraph or no?
I wouldn't consider it a paragraph. What would you consider it, James?
I'd make it a header.
A header? Okay,
A
perfect.
header, right. Sorry, I didn't think of that.
All good, all good. All right, so we have our icon, we have a heading, we have a paragraph. What else?
Button.
Yes, and 2 buttons. All right, so we have 5 elements. One of them is an icon. One of them is a heading. One of them is a paragraph. One of them is a button. And another one is a button. Now, we can put all of these elements in here just one by one. But just looking at the way that this is styled right here, would you containerize it any further? Or is this fine? Just put them individually.
I think I would put frankly, I think I would put the image and the header, since they look so close together. I might put them in a separate div, just
Okay.
to, just so I could make. Gee, I might put them in a separate container, so I could put the 2 more divs in that container, so I could put the image in one and the title in another.
All right, let me
Not
ask you
sure
this.
that's the way
Would
to
you
go,
would
but
you split it like
well,
this? So a div up here and a div down here, or would you split it like this? Because you could, I mean, when you're solving problems like this, you're gonna learn that there's like, it really comes down to preference at the end of the day. I'm just curious what you're thinking.
actually, I wouldn't even do it like that.
How would you do it?
I'd put a div a container to handle the image and the header. Sort of like almost like if you were doing a nav.
Like
Yeah,
that.
like that. Then I would put the paragraph under that with the button and the 2 buttons.
Okay. So I would definitely keep the heading I would keep the text together.
Okay, I guess that would work too. Now, when you do the image, the thing is, when you do the image, you gotta size the image, right? That's almost like a logo size.
Yes, we'll
So
get to that. We'll get to that. Don't you worry. Yeah. We'll find a image from one of the icon libraries, and we'll import it into the head. So we'll do that for sure. And normally the libraries that allow you to choose from a list of different icons, they have some functionality built into the icon to make sizing pretty easy. But for now, let's just code everything up the way that it is. So, all right, everybody choose one of these elements. At least the people who are in the code editors, feel free to grab an icon. Just use an image tag for now. Heading, which you can use in H1, in H2, H3. I would say, since this isn't the main heading of the page, definitely don't use an H1, H2, or H3. Someone go ahead and write the paragraph, someone go ahead and do the button, and someone go ahead and do the other button. And if you're like, hey, I've never typed this code before, I have no clue how to create a button in HTML, it's actually really easy. Just go ahead to Google and say, how do I create a button in HTML? And then boom. And I can see that someone actually copy and pasted that. So you're going to realize that one of the most important things with programming is just understanding the higher level concepts. Because once you understand the higher level concepts, you could code in any language. If you understand the concept, you're going to be able to Google it. You're going to be able to go to Stack Overflow. You're going to be able to go to ChatGPT and ask the right question. 90% of programming is asking the right question. If you could ask the right question, you could program anything. So, all right. So we got one person doing the button. All right. And let's just see what we got so far. All right. So we have dismiss showing up here. Who do we have in here? All right. Yeah. So go ahead and complete these right here. Everybody choose one. And if you've already finished one and nobody's working on another one, feel free to go ahead and type it. And if you have any questions, let me know. But most of the people in the code editor are people who have been here before, and you know how we do it. So, and for those who are here, like Arian, Kayla, Toya, Rebecca, if you actually want to hop into the code editors, you want to unmute, you want to get involved, feel free to just go to the Start Here channel up here at the top. There's a link to the Patreon, and you can do a free trial. So you actually don't have to pay anything up front right now. Do your free trial. Once you sign up for this, just go to your account in Patreon, and I believe you could just connect Discord to Patreon and automatically you'll receive access. It's actually cheap right now. It's only $20 a month because we're figuring out the best way to do this. But once we move over to Stripe and Zoom, it's going to jump way up. So feel free to hop in now. You'll definitely be grandfathered in. Let's see what we got here. All right, nice. We got a little icon here. We got our set goal. We have our dismiss. All right, so we just need the paragraph and we need the heading. So I'll leave this up just for one more minute so you know exactly what it says. Same Jima. Looks like we got someone new. What's up? What's up? Beautiful, beautiful. Looking good. Schedule learning time. Beautiful, beautiful. That's looking good. That's looking good.
Let's see the chat. Okay, how did you know to go to svgrepo.com to get the image? Whoever did it.
Who did that image?
Did you just know that?
Who did the image? Ricky did it. He said I added a little placeholder image, and yes, I know we should not be doing styles like that. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it looks fine. Cool. Here, you know what I want to do actually? I'm going to go ahead and go live here. And I believe with the live server, copy server URL. I think if I post this, I think you should be able to, if you click on the live server down here in your code, it might not show up now because I just added it, but if you click on live server, the browser should pop up on your computer. Sorry, I got a little cough. I've been sick for the last few days. I gotta remember to do the live server before I actually start the session because I believe it's gonna make it just so much easier for people to actually see the browser on their own computers. All right. So, my bad. Whoever's doing the paragraph, I disrupted you. Feel free to finish that up.
Okay, so how do we open the live server when I'm clicking on HTML? That option is not appearing.
Yeah, it might have not worked because I started it late, so you might have to leave the live share and come back in. Yeah, that would be my guess. Yep.
Can I join you in the live share in the Visual Studio Code on my desktop? Because right now I'm in the browser, and I know if I'm on my desktop, I can open my own live preview thing.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So you actually have to open it up in the application for that to work?
For me, for my current situation, and I don't know how I did it before, but I have.
Okay. Yeah, I clicked live server after I shared the link, so that sometimes might have something to do with it, but now it's live. So if you see on the left side, you have like the file explorer, you have outline, timeline, and then live share. There's the participants, and then there's the live server. So normally, if I just click live server, it opens up. But it might not be there for you. It's not there for everybody, and sometimes that has to do just with settings. And sometimes you have to leave and come back. So it depends.
No shared anything.
Yeah. I just want to open this up so it...
Should I close it and come back? Would that work?
If you want to try that out, that works. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if it works.
Okay.
All right. So, make a learning habit are more likely to reach their goals. I'm just going to finish this up. Set time aside to learn and get reminders using your learning schedule. Cool. Okay.
I still don't see it.
Nah. Okay. It's all good.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, cool. So you can do that. When you go in and ask me that you share the live server with me, and do I want to, and I can see the browser.
Okay, cool. So it worked for you, James?
Yes, it works. It's very nice.
Cool. All right, perfect. All right. So if you look at the code that we have right here, and then you look at the image, you can see that at least what I see right away is I see this. And let me go ahead and change my color. I see this. The reason why I see this is because I see the icon is kind of just by itself on the left side. You want the icon on the left side, and then everything else is lined up. At least like everything else is lined up here. So if we put the icon in one div, we put this content here in another div, and then we add flex to our outside container, the blue container, it's going to be really easy. So flex to our outside container. It's going to be really easy to just do a flex row. And this box right here will pop over to the side. It'll stay on the right side no matter how you change the screen. So that's what comes to mind for me. It differs, you know, like a lot of I've spent a lot of time just having conversations with people, and it's all preferential conversations. Like, how do you prefer it? But you're going to learn as you get into the industry and you're working on teams in a real company that some teams like it this way, some teams like it that way, some teams do it like this, some teams do it like that. The important thing is that the code looks the way that you want it to look without hurting performance. So, does anyone have any thoughts on how to style it besides having the image in one div and having the content in another div? Because if you want to go ahead and use your approach, we could go ahead and do that as well. But if not, we'll go ahead with this one.
I just want to let you know I figured it out.
Oh, you got it working. What'd you do?
Yeah. There was an option somewhere in the VS browser version to open in VS Code. I was like, well, try that. And so I opened it on my desktop that way, and then I was able to open the preview. So that worked.
Okay.
I forget like where I clicked. It was like settings or like some option on the left there.
But you did have to open it up in the desktop to get it to work.
Yeah.
James, did you have to open it up
me.
in the desktop to get it to work too, or are you in the browser?
No, I'm in the browser. You know, when you go in, a button pops up says that the host is sharing live server with you. Do you want to? And you click yes, and then you get the browser.
Okay. All right. Cool. Tiffany, what's up?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you, Jim. Is this a new project, or are you still doing the volunteer?
Yeah, so we're doing the voting application. That's going to continue, but on Mondays I'm going to be doing intro to HTML, and on Wednesdays I'm going to be doing intro to JavaScript. On Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll be doing full-scale projects, so we'll be working on the voting application. And then Fridays I'm going to be doing data structure and algorithms.
Oh,
and
okay.
then,
So now you're doing the whole 5 days.
Yeah. So Parker's still going to be teaching. He's just figuring out like what content he wants to teach. So I went ahead and I created like a whole course plan last week, and I gave him an option. So there's 7 options. There's 3 levels of HTML and CSS. The first is this one here. The second one is just like full pages but responsive, and the third one is like animations and just more advanced type stuff. And then JavaScript is going to have introduction, intermediate, and advanced. And then the 7th tier is going to kind of bring them all together. So we're going to be moving from Discord to Zoom, and we're going to be moving from Patreon to Stripe. So it gave me so much more freedom and flexibility to create custom course schedules, custom packages, and all this stuff. So we're slowly moving over there. So there's going to be nights where Parker is teaching on Monday and Wednesday, and I'm teaching on Monday and Wednesday. And it's like, which one do you want to join? Because we're going to have multiple teachers teaching multiple days, sometimes simultaneously, sometimes in the morning, sometimes night. So I'm actually going to let everybody know about an opportunity I have for people to teach, because from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, actually from noon to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, I'm building projects. Like I'm working a lot of the stuff is back end, a lot of the stuff is Next.js, just like real world projects and that sort of thing. And so what I decided was I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to offer the opportunity for people who want to start learning back end and other skills to join me for a couple hours Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. But in exchange for teaching an hour a week. So it could be introduction to HTML and CSS. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be 6 a.m., whatever time is best for the student. And then also hosting one event per month. So in whatever location you are, hosting one event, connecting with other developers, that sort of thing. I'm actually going to have it on the website. So when you land on your dashboard, you're going to see like checkout opportunities, and it's going to have it all mapped out for you. And then if you want to get involved, it's not going to be open to everybody. It's still like, you still have to be accepted for that program, but I definitely want to start offering like higher level skills to people who are ready. And for me personally, two of the things that taught me more than anything was one, teaching, and two, connecting with other developers. From 2021 to more recently, I've been hosting in-person events, and like, man, the people I met, the networking I did, is just, it really, I just see this as like a win-win-win across the board. So I'll definitely have more details for sure.
Sounds good. I like that. Sounds good.
Cool. And then Toya, what's up? It looks like Toya, you signed up for the 7-day free trial. Welcome. Hey.
I'm trying to figure out how to join the server, the last server.
You're trying to figure out how to hop into the code editor?
Yeah, that, yeah. Uh-huh.
So if you look at my screen right now,
Uh-huh.
at 6:09, I posted a link. It's right here.
Okay, let's see. Okay, thank you.
Yep. If you click that link, you'll hop into the code editor with us. Cool. Where are you checking in from, Toya? Atlanta. Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So let me go ahead and just add a couple comments here. So we want to place the icon inside a div. This is the next 3 tasks. Place the icon inside a div, place the text and buttons inside a div, add flex to, let me just give this an ID to make it easier. We'll call this schedule, and then add flex to schedule container. And yeah, so those are the next 3 tasks. Who wants to do this one? I am going to say Tiffany. You just got here. Go ahead and place the icon inside a div of its own. So we have our icon here on line 16 and 17. Feel free to just place that into a div.
Okay.
We have Toya, are you in here yet? We have a guest. Ariun, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Ariun. Go ahead and take the second task. So we have Tiffany. Since I saw Javier and Ricky doing a lot of stuff. Ariun, feel free to wrap the rest of this stuff in its own div. And then we need one more person. Let's say Ricky, you haven't been talking, but Ricky, go ahead and add some flex to the schedule.
Okay, so do something similar to what Ariane is doing. Just make a div and then just copy the icon.
Yes.
Okay.
So the buttons and the text are going to be inside the same div?
The buttons and the text. Yeah, the heading, the paragraph, and the 2 buttons will be inside the same div. Yeah, since they're all aligned and grouped together here.
Okay.
Yep.
Is this going to be a grid?
I wouldn't use grid unless you really need it.
No?
Grid is a really powerful tool. Yeah. I'm so used to using Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS though. Like for a minute I was thinking, can we just add flex? Because with Bootstrap, In React, you just do like class name, and then you, oops, and then you just add flex. It's so much easier, but then when you're doing just HTML and CSS, I remember like you actually need a CSS file.
I'm trying to like think, like I'm looking at W3 schools, the grid template rows property, and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to break this up so that it looks like how it is.
Yeah.
You've got like the one box on the left and you have another box. If it's just two, that's easier, because I was thinking there was going to be one and then two more, but that's easier if we're just doing two. So
Yeah, I would always try to use Flexbox first, and if it's something you can't do with
Yeah.
Flexbox, then use Grid if you have to.
if there's just two divs, then Flexbox is super easy.
Yeah.
Sounds
Oh
like.
yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Even most stuff I could get done with Flexbox, honestly. Yeah. All right.
So, but like if you have a layout with like different sized rectangles like all over the place, how would you do that with Flex?
I know. I know. Yeah. Sometimes you need. Sometimes you just need it. What's up, Ricky? I saw you on mute. We got some issues going on here.
Yeah, I don't know why. I notice it does that a lot. Like, put someone's text in the wrong place or something.
I know. Yeah, if there's too many people in here, sometimes it does that. All right, so we have this div, and this contains the paragraph, the two buttons. So we just need to add the header to this div. Ricky. All right, so Ricky went ahead and created the. Oh, cool, cool. He added flex to the schedule container. Perfect. And then, all right, cool. And I think we could delete this icon here because it's the same exact thing, right? All right, so what are we missing? Okay. So we're getting an error here. An image element represents an image. All right, we're good.
Wait a minute, somebody is using my. I was supposed to do the icon, and somebody's working on that. Somebody keeps changing.
Yeah, I see it right here. Did you do this?
Yes, I was supposed to do the icon inside a div, and somebody kept on changing.
Okay, it's actually done. Did you do that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had copy and pasted, and then somebody had changed it a little bit.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
So we have our div there, and then
Okay. Oh, this is you. Okay.
And then we have, yeah, sometimes it adds like multiple. So Ricky already added flex. And then, all right, so the only thing that looks like is missing is we have our paragraph. We have two buttons inside of this div, but we don't have the heading inside of the div. So on my screen, the heading is on line 31 and 32. So if someone wants to go ahead and just move the heading to the proper place. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So, yeah, like things just repeat, right? All right. So we have our div. Do we have a closing div? I don't see it, so let me go ahead and just add that. That should be good. So we have our div with the image, we have our div with the text content, and then we still have our course information down here. All right, cool. Let's Let's see what it looks like. Cool, cool. And then it looks like... Perfect. All right, so now it's looking a little bit more like this here, right? We have our icon on the left side. We have our text over here. Cool. All right, so what's next?
Get everything in the right spot.
Okay. What do you want to put in the right spot?
I don't like what the clock is doing. It should be down more. If we're trying to make it look exactly like the other thing.
Okay. And how would you do
Brought
that?
down. Well, put the whole thing in a flex box. The clock is the icon, so that would be the first part, and then the other div would be the second part, and then they'd be side by side.
All right, let me ask you this. I want to ask it in a way. All right, in plain English, without any technical language like Flexbox, what's the difference between this one here on ours and this one here? Like, what do you notice is different?
Oh, well, the buttons are not styled the same, and the clock is out of place.
How is it out of place?
In ours, it's up too high.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to come down, and it's a little, I think, on the small side.
How do you make it come down?
I would have to think about that.
Well, right now, the space in between the top of our clock here and the space in between the top of our browser
Padding.
is smaller here than it is here, right? Yeah. Yes. I was just looking for like a plain English answer. Like there's more space in this one than there is here. Yeah. So like that comes down to asking the right question, because a lot of the times we don't have the technical terms, or we just don't have the vocabulary yet. So it's like, how do I add space to the top of an element? That's a good question. If you don't know the technical terms like padding, you know the technical terms. So you could just Google like, how do you add padding, to the top of an element.
They're in there somewhere.
Yeah. So you got the technical terms, which is great. But a lot of the times you don't have the technical terms, and you do have to word it in a way where like, hey, how do you add space to the top of an HTML element or something of that nature? But yeah, you got it. So would you add padding to just the top?
I would add padding all around, evenly, probably, looks like.
Okay. Cool. So let me go ahead and create a couple more tasks here. So add padding to the icon, and you can play around with that until you find something that's good. All right. Who else? What else besides Anna? What would you change, Tiffany? What's the difference between what we have right now and the one we're trying to match?
Let me see. Can I see the picture? I just see I don't see the original page.
So here's our page, and then here is the original one. I kind of just added like tons of...
Oh, wait, let me see.
There we go. So this is our original one.
Oh, wait a minute, I don't see it. Hold on. I just see...
It's just that the clock and the text are not aligned. I mean, I guess you could just move you could move the clock down. No, you need to move the text up.
Okay. Well, when Anna adds padding to the clock, that's going to change the position a little bit. But you did mention the text, James. So let me ask you this. What's the difference between the text on our website and the text in the one we're trying to copy? Like, look at the actual text. What's the difference?
I'm gonna come back out. Come in. Hold on.
Let me go back and forth. It's hard to go back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Let me zoom in a little bit here, too, just so we could get a little closer. I don't know if it's hard for everyone to see, but I know Tiffany mentioned it was a little hard.
I would love to answer, but I will let James answer.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks the same to me. I don't know.
Oh, let me see something.
All right, go ahead, Anna. That was Anna saying you would love to answer, right?
Yes. So the font in the bottom file there, that's a sans serif, which means it doesn't have the little extenders on the letters.
Yes.
And the one up top is more like writing you would find in like an old book. The serifs help with legibility.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we need to change font family to a serif style, right? Actually, sans
Sans serif. So like Helvetica.
Yeah, or Arial.
Helvetica.
I see it. Now.
Yes, perfect.
They grounded
Yes.
Helvetica into my brain, so it's like my go-to.
All right, cool, cool. All right, what else? What else with the text? And that goes for the heading and for the paragraph. So change font family of heading and change font family of paragraph. Should we normalize or reset all margins and paddings? You could do that. Yeah. That'll push. Let me ask you, Ricky, why would you want to do that? And I think your thinking is right in line with what James was saying. Where James, you were saying that we shouldn't have all this space above our scheduled learning time,
Right.
based on this. But Ricky, why would we normalize or reset all margins, and how would we do that? I think you might have. Okay. What's going on, Yasmin? I saw that you just popped in. Welcome, welcome. Ricky, feel free to type in the chat or just in the code editor if you want. Because he said, should we normalize or reset all padding for HTML elements? If you want to go ahead and do that, Ricky, if you want to just go ahead and reset them, and then everybody take a look at the browser on my page so that when we save, you'll see how it changes. So let me go ahead and save this HTML. Ricky, go ahead and reset all of them, and then everybody watch the browser so you could see how it changes. Watch the spacing. There we go.
Ooh.
Did you see how that
Ooh.
changed? So let me go ahead and comment it out and save it again. Look at all this
Now I
space.
see.
And then if you reset it, boom. So it gets rid of all the padding and all the margins. So you're basically starting fresh. Whoa. Yes. So that works. That works.
I like that concept better, actually. That's cool.
Cool, cool.
Because I can see how that would get like wild in like multiple browsers if you know have different numbers for stuff or whatever.
True, true. That's a really good point.
I'm just like thinking like way down the road because
Mhm.
in my current studies I'm learning about like there's like a million browsers and people will have it displayed differently and I'm like okay, that's really great to be on the same page.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Because then it'll always display the right way that you want it.
Yes, hopefully. Yes, cool, cool. Good suggestion, Ricky. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we're gonna add padding to the icon. We're gonna change the font family of the heading and the paragraph. Does anyone else see any other differences that we need here?
Button styling?
Button styling. Okay, so let's talk about the get started button. What do we need to do to that?
padding. Right?
Add
Padding and color.
padding
The color.
to the get started button. Okay. Change, Tiffany, you said change color of the get started.
Yes.
Okay. What else?
Does it change when you hover over it? Is there a hover on the original?
I did
we
play
care?
around. I did play around with it a little bit. It just got a little lighter, so it went from black to I think like really dark gray.
Okay.
Add hover.
I like hover.
Okay. Add hover to the get started button, making it dark gray just so you can see that you're hovering over it. Dismiss didn't have anything, but okay. So what are we gonna be doing to the dismiss button?
Padding, same as the get started, right? So it's same distance.
Add padding to the dismiss button. Okay.
What about font?
What about font?
Font it's definitely different from the other buttons. It's like bold or something, or is it a heading? The button text?
So modify font weight of buttons.
That'll work.
Font weight is just like boldness. Okay. And then we're definitely going to be adding padding and margin to all elements, but we'll go ahead and we'll focus on that later. All right, so who do we have in here? So add padding to the icon. Let's go ahead and say Anna, that was yours, so you go ahead and do that. We have change font family of heading to sans serif and change font family of paragraph to sans serif. So basically what we want to do is we want to add the same font family to all of this text. So where are we gonna add that styling to? What element are we gonna add that styling to make sure that it applies to everything? James.
The body, couldn't we change the buttons too? I hate the buttons.
We're changing the buttons.
I put some radius on the buttons. I changed the get started button to green. I'd make the dismiss button red. And I'd make them both look like buttons.
Yes. We're going to do that. But let me ask you, where are we going to be applying the font family to?
To the body. Wouldn't you put the font family to the bottom? You want everything the same?
Perfect.
Font?
All right. So James, change the font family of the body. Add padding to the get started button. Let's say Tiffany. Change the color of the get started button. Let's say Tiffany, since you're doing that button anyways. Add hover to the get started button. I'm going to say Javier. Add padding to the dismiss button. We got Ricky. And modify the font weight of the buttons. Let's say Ricky. And cool. So all this stuff is going to be done in the styles.css. Feel free to take away those tasks. And then, oh, we have Toya. So let's say Toya, add top margin to the container, or let's just say to the div containing the text content.
Font family did we say we wanted? Sharif?
Helvetica or Arial? Just the sans serif style.
Okay.
All right, so we got Toya. Cool. So Toya, that's your
Okay.
task right there.
What is the link to join? Where is that link? I thought I saw it, but I don't. Now I'm on, and I can't. What channel is it under? Or
So
where do
we're you see how we're all in the HTML and CSS channel, HC1. So if you hover over this right here, you're going to see 3 icons on the right. One is an open chat, one is create invite, one is edit channel. Click on open chat, and then the chat will open up on the right side. So if you just scroll up, you'll see the live share link.
Okay, hold on. So do I need to be on? Because I'm on my tablet. Do I need to be on my desktop for it to?
Yes. Um, Actually, I think if you open up live share in the browser, then it'll work technically, but it's going to be challenging. You're better off being on the desktop. But if you can't do it right now, that's totally fine. I could just give it to someone else.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let me try to work
Let's
on this
see.
one.
Javier, you could go ahead and do. Let me see. Actually, what are you doing? Adding hover. All right, so Javier or Anna, whoever finishes first, or
What are we doing?
Or James. James, you have an easy one too.
Yeah, I already took the.
Yeah.
Someone's doing the buttons already, right? I see the
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, Ricky has a couple things for the buttons. And then it looks like Yasmin, Max, and Anonymous. We have a few new people in here right now. If you're curious why you can't unmute, it's because everybody has access to these channels and these events. You're going to be able to watch for free. You're going to be able to listen, watch us all solve problems, that sort of thing. If you actually want to unmute and hop into the code editor, code along, ask questions, interact with other developers, go to the Start Here channel. Just at the top of the server, you're going to see all the information that you need to navigate the server. And you're going to see the link here for Patreon. You get a 7-day free trial, so feel free to go ahead and try that out. See if you like it. But yeah, we're going to be having events Monday through Friday, and you'll have access to all of them with this right here. And reach out to me if you have any questions. Reach out to me directly.
So James, for the button, get started button. So in the CSS, would it be like a dot, get started button, or do I have to make it like a button class in CSS?
I said, you could do with the button. You could make it a class in case you want, or an ID in case you. No, you do it in CSS, so you just have to. I think button is a tag. I think you can just say button,
Huh?
and then I think you can just say button, and you do the curly braces, and then you put the radius and well, you got two different buttons, so you want them. If you want to change the color of the two different buttons, you'd have to give them, I think, an ID, so you could change the color of one of the buttons
Okay.
and the other one. But if you wanted them both to be the same, you could just say button. So I would make it an ID. I'd go into the index, on the HTML index file. I give it um, different IDs. Then I go into the CSS and use that ID to change the color of the first button to green, and change the second button to red. And I put some radius on them so they really look like buttons. So if somebody really looked at this, it's more obvious. You want something to happen, you make it green. You want it to stop, you make it red. But that's just, you know, the way one person would feel about it. Not everybody. That's just what I would do.
Okay.
So someone already put the padding on the button. I'm trying to look where they did it in the CSS. Somebody already made it dot schedule container button. And put the padding
Can I just
right
ask
there.
that as you go ahead and bust out these different tasks, can you go ahead and just delete them if you finish them so we know which ones are done and which ones still need to be done?
Schedule container button. Then in the index, I don't see it. I don't see where anybody added an ID to the button.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever did the dialing for schedule type button, did you put an ID? Am I missing something? Did the coding change?
No. No. I
Oh,
believe we have.
you have the buttons, and then you have the container that the buttons are in, right?
Oh, so they changed the container
Mm-hmm.
for the button?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the button is all the way. Let's see the container. Gotta move this back. The div. The buttons are in a div. The div doesn't have an ID. Schedule, learning, button. Okay, I'm just missing it. Whoever did it, could you say something?
Ricky did it, but he can't talk right now because he's in like an open
Oh,
working space.
but it's working.
Yeah, if you look at the CSS file, line 28 to 32, you'll see the code.
Yeah, I see the code. Right?
Yeah.
But for that code, he's giving it an ID, but in the index, I don't see where the ID is.
There is no ID. He's styling it without an ID. He's styling it with the
Oh, with the
schedule container class and the button element.
schedule.
Yes. So this right here on line 28 is just saying the buttons within this class add this style to anything that's within the schedule container class, any button that's within the schedule container class, essentially.
Okay, so I don't see the schedule container class. Maybe I just
So
don't know.
it's right up in the HTML file. It's on line 11.
Line 11. Okay, that's where I'm missing.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I see the class now. It's all the way up there.
Yep.
There's so many.
Okay, so I see the button dot get started in CSS. Is that mine's in the HTML? Because I had to do the get started button. I had to do the padding and change the color.
Yeah, well, you can still have an ID. You can still put, even though he changed the scheduling class, and that puts the padding on it
Button.
for everything in that class. You still, if you want to change the color of the individual buttons, you could still give the two buttons a different ID, so you could change it.
Okay.
Is that right, Jim?
You're trying to change the color, you said?
Yeah, if you want to change
Yes.
the buttons.
Of the get
I have
started.
the get started button and it said change color of the get started button, and I had to add
Add an ID to
yeah,
the two different buttons.
okay.
So first button, the get started button, you give it an ID, maybe, I don't know, get started, and the button for dismiss, you give it an ID of dismiss, then you go into the CSS,
Yes.
and then you change the style there.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
would
So
I would say give it a class
I would
and
give it an ID.
Yeah, you
If
could
you
do it
do
either way. I leave IDs for JavaScript and I use classes for styling.
So the class will be like a dot, right?
But
Yes.
she wants to change the two different. She wants to change the color of the two different buttons. If you make it a class, you can't change the color. You know, the two buttons to two different colors.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you right now. So this is the way I would
Okay.
do it. I see that Ricky went ahead and go and did schedule container button here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, so this is what I would do. So I'd come here and
Okay.
I'd add BTN, BTN. They're both buttons, right? But this
And
one,
you in HTML? Okay, yes.
yeah. But this is gonna
Oh,
be a button that's dark, and this
okay.
is gonna be a button that's light or white.
Okay.
Um, so I'd give them both the button class, and
Right.
then instead of in the CSS, instead of doing schedule container button because it's like a lot of texting, I'll just do button dot button, and then underneath I would
Oh,
do dot button dark, and
Yeah.
then dot button
button
light,
light. Okay.
and then what is it? Button dark, button light, and then I would add the styles for the dark here, the background color for the dark here, and the background color for the light here. This is just because I've worked a lot with like Bootstrap or Tailwind, so I see how the design systems are built, and these just remind
Just
me
start.
more of the design systems that are built.
Okay.
Um,
So,
and then as
so
far as like you could do like button large, button small, so you can have like all these different sizes depending on how big you want the size of the button and that sort of thing. Well, let's see. Let's look at this. So they're both about the
the
same size, anyways. But yeah,
so the background color would be black, and then the color, like the font color, would be white, right? According to what we have.
If you
yes,
did it the way you have, but I think we talked about it, and I mean, I just don't like it. I'd make the first button green and the second button red. If you go to that website and you looked at that and you saw the way it is, it's a square box. You don't know it's a button. I put a radius on it so you know it's a button. People are used to buttons having a radius on it. And it's just common if you want to start something, you make it green. You want to stop something, you make it red. But I mean, you don't have to do it that way. If you
yeah,
go with the colors that we got, yeah, you make the first button black, and then there wouldn't be any box or radius on the second button the way the diagram is. But
yeah.
we talked about it. It's
So
the same thing.
you're getting more into like marketing and branding because if your brand is like, let's just say you're a law firm and you want to give off this look and design of like sharp and witty or whatever, maybe the rounded corners aren't the best, but if you want like the sharp corners, you know, and I'm not a designer or a marketer, so I don't know, but I'm just saying you want a similar style across your whole system, and you want the design that has been applied to your system to represent your brand in your company. So it if you do, so if there are times where the edges are going to be sharp, there's times where the edges are going to be rounded. Like with social media sites, it's all rounded. I feel like every time I see a social media site, it's all rounded. But it's all comes down to like marketing and branding at the end of the day.
I agree. I just never seen a square button.
I have a
Never
question.
really.
Never, ever in life.
Like you need to get out more, bro.
I know. I know. I know. I know. You're absolutely right. I do need to get out more.
I'm playing. I'm playing.
I know you
Someone
are.
someone had a question.
Yes, I have a question. So
Yes.
the other button, the dismiss button, in the one that we're trying to achieve, how do we know if the button is white or if it's a transparent button? You can't really know, or do you know? I'm just like wondering.
I mean, if you go to, you could always go to like, let's say we go to Udemy and we're like, hey, let's figure out what this button is. Where
It's now time for a very cool lecture, the one that I'm really excited about.
all right, so if I go ahead and I do inspect, then I could go ahead to the elements, and let me just open this up a little bit more. So let's say I'm looking for that right there, right? So is that it? Is that it right there? So this div, this section. So you could see if you wanted to like check, like if you were looking on a website and you wanted to check, then you could always just like target the actual element that you're trying to check and see if it's transparent.
Okay.
So like let's say this div, we're looking at, let's just say if we want to see if this input is transparent or white. So if I click on this and then I come over here and I could just see, let me filter and just say background or color. So you could just look here and see.
Do they typically put like a solid background on a button? Because
my guess would be that it's white. Honestly, I would just
Okay.
I would guess that it's white, but I'm not sure.
I was just trying to think, like, because like I use my computer in dark mode, and I'm like, well, if it's transparent and then there's dark text, and then it's invisible, or like, because depending on like who's got what mode and white and black and whatever, I'm just wondering, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not positive exactly.
I did what you always tell us to do, Google it. And if you Google it, then they just show an example of how to do it.
But I see
Transparent.
I see your point though, because if it's transparent and the background is a different color, you want the dismiss button to match the background regardless of what the background color of the body is. So transparent makes more sense, because if you make the background white, then it's going to be white, and then it's not going to match the background. So transparent makes more sense as I think through it, for sure.
I feel like a solid button color would make more sense, because then it doesn't matter what's going on in the background. It'll always pop because it'll be, opposite of whatever the font color is, and no matter what, you'll be able to see it.
True, if you want it to pop.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, like, I don't know, I'm probably overthinking. I do that a lot.
Nah, it's all good. I don't believe in overthinking.
Okay.
All right, so we have our get started. There's definitely something here that's different than the one here. So what are you all seeing on this get started that we're not seeing on this get started? There's a couple things. There's two things that stand out to me.
The padding is bigger.
On the whole thing, or just on one side?
On the button, the padding on the top is bigger.
There we go. Someone just fixed that. Perfect. That looks good. And then, what else?
You need to remove the box around the dismiss.
Yes. How do we do that?
So that's,
how do we?
So that's kind of why I was asking about it. Like, if we make that white or transparent, and that's what sparked that question.
Okay. Border 0. There we go. That's looking good. And I would even say that black is a little too dark. That like a really, really dark gray is probably the way to go. But we could that looks good for now. Cool. And then dismiss, that also looks really good. Cool.
I think you have to update it for us to see it in the browser, at least on my screen.
Does anyone notice something though when I hover over these? It's not obvious that these are buttons. Why is it not obvious that these are buttons?
Nothing's changing.
What do you mean?
It's not very interactive. Like there's no hover. Like
Yes.
I think
Yes.
we're gonna do a hover. I don't think anybody did that.
Yes. So on the get started, we're going to do a hover where we're going to make it a little bit lighter than the dark. But also there's something else that usually happens with like every other button. Let's see if
Like a shadow situation.
look at this one. Ready? Look on my Discord. See how I'm down here?
Yeah.
Watch when I hover over this. What changes?
It gets lighter and there's a description.
There's a description. What else?
Cursor.
Oh,
The
the
cursor. Yes, the cursor. Nice catch. So we're not getting that with this, which is like every button that you hover over, you should have the pointer. So does anyone know how to do that?
You give it. There's a CSS thing for cursor.
There we go.
Either cursor pointer or cursor arrow. I think something
Yep.
like that.
Ricky got it. So with the dismiss, we don't want to hover on the dismiss because we don't want people to click dismiss, right? We just want people to click get started. That's why get started is like stands out above everything else and is also going to have the hover. So we have our button hover class right here. We're actually only going to be adding adding a change of hover to this get started one right here. So who's doing that? Let's see. Tiffany, change the color of the get started button. That one is done. Add hover to the get started button to make it gray. That was Javier. It's not done yet. Add padding to and margin to all elements. So that one we still have to do. And then add top margin to the div containing. So we also have this one here. All right, so let's go ahead and just add the hover to this one first, so that when you hover over it, it just lightens just a little bit. Gets just a little darker. I mean, just a little lighter. So does anyone have any thoughts on that one?
Button dark hover. That would be its own.
Yes.
Its
Yes.
own thing.
Yeah, because we don't want it to happen to button light. I'm going to go ahead and make this. That looks a little better. Cool. All right, that's a little light. Let's see.
A little on the light side.
Yeah, so if we go ahead and just give it this, you go ahead, maybe even just do like 50, 50, 50, should be good. Cool. All right, so that looks, you could tell. Even, let me go ahead and just do 60, 60 and see. Yeah, that looks fine. That might even be too much. 55, 55. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's good. Cool, cool. All right.
So, if you select one of those, it highlights all three. And then if you start typing, does it?
No, so the way I did that was I highlighted 55, and then if you do
Okay.
Control D, it'll highlight the next 55 it encounters, and then if you do Control D again. So I do that a lot of the time for, like, let's just say I'm trying to edit
Okay.
let's just say I'm trying to change like every div to,
Oh, fantastic.
yeah,
Okay.
so I could do Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, and then I could change them all into like H1s.
Okay.
It's just
Yes,
Control
I
D.
need to know that.
Yeah. Cool. So we have schedule our learning time, learn a little each day. What I'm going to do is, if you look at the text and you look at the button, they're about the same color. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the background color, and we did set body. I'm going to go ahead and just say color. There. Just so it's not perfect black, it looks a little bit better. All right, cool. So it looks like really we need, what are we missing now?
We need the padding between the buttons and the text, and between the heading and the paragraph,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes. So let me ask this. Between the heading and the text and the buttons in the paragraph, you said?
Yes, and then there's also like a little box around the entire thing. That's a separate situation.
All right, so I'm going to challenge everybody because we have about 20 minutes left, and so I want to have a little competition with everybody, all right? We need to add padding at the top a little bit of space in between here, a little bit of space in between the buttons in the text, and then a little bit of space at the bottom. Also, yeah, that looks good. And then we also need a border. So like a really light gray border. So my challenge is, let me just go to the bottom here. And I want to see everybody write code to create that space that we need in the minimum number of lines of code. So who do we have here right now? We have Anna, we have Tiffany, we have James, we have Javier, we have Ricky, and we have Toya. So these are the people who are members, who have access to the code editor. And so underneath your name, go ahead and write the code to create the space we need in the minimum number of lines of code. So give it a shot.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Are we copying all of the code and adding to it, or are we just adding the code lines that we want to add?
No. So if you're like, all right, so what I want, the way that I would do it is I'm like, okay, we need padding around this whole container right here. And so what I would do is I would just take schedule container. And if my name is right here, I would just say schedule container padding 10 pixels. So I'm writing custom CSS. I'm not writing it under here because this is global. This is what everybody's going to use. And I don't want everybody like colliding. So just take the ones that you are going to edit and let's see who could do it in the least amount of code.
Oh, I'm confused.
Just write code to create the space, James. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just look at the code that we have in the browser and look at the code that we're trying to match and use the HTML classes, use the HTML to just style this. So write code to style it and try to do it in the minimum number of lines of code. What's up, Liz?
Now I'm leaving the editor. did it already. That didn't.
What I'm going to do after everybody finishes writing their code is I'm going to copy and paste your code in, and we're going to see how close you are, and then we'll just see who is able to do it in the minimum lines of code. I'm interested to see this, because at the end of the day, you'll see when we do data structures and algorithms on Friday that for every problem there's at least like 3 or 4 solutions. So there's so many different ways to do it, and it's like for HTML and CSS, you want to do it as simply as possible. You know, the browsers handle any inefficiencies. Like, it's possible that you have performance problems. It's usually not because of the HTML and CSS. So the simpler, the less lines of code, the better. But you'll see that really at the end of the day, you could do the same thing with in so many different ways. It really, a lot of it comes down to preference. So. I think Toya wasn't able to get in, so no worries. Oh, cool. Toya made it in. Nice. Alright, we'll give everyone just 5 more minutes.
So Jim, I put for the button dart. I was trying. I actually forgot. I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between the padding and the margin.
So padding is going to be inside the border, and margin is going to be on the outside of the border.
Okay.
Yep. So if the size of the button looks good, like the black button, it looks good. You don't want to make the you don't want to make it any bigger height or width. Then it's definitely not padding that you want.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see it so far.
I don't think I'm gonna win least lines of code, but I think I have the appearance pretty good.
All right, cool.
I feel somewhat confident.
Cool. Just 2 more minutes. Are you done, Anna?
I think so. I might be missing something, but I'm pretty sure I'm good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna comment out. Cool. All right. Do just 1 more minute. All right. So we have Anna has line 58 to 74. So we're looking at about 16 lines of code. 16. We got Tiffany. You have 4 lines of code. James, looks like you have about 4 lines of code. Javier, 3 lines of code. 1, 2, 3. You can even make it 2 lines of code, James. Cool. And then Ricky, we're looking at 92 to 100, so 8 lines. And Toya, 3 lines. All right, so who has the least amount of code so far? All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna comment out everybody, and then we're gonna start with James. James has 2 lines of code, H3, P, button, and it looks like margin top. You want margin top on the H3, right? So the H3, you want margin top. The P, you want margin top. And the button, you want margin top. But I'm not seeing any margin here on any of them. Who knows why?
So I did something wrong,
That's good.
but I don't know why.
That's good. Who knows why? Let's see if we could do cut those out. All right, so if we cut those out, something happens, right? So I'm gonna cut. Watch on the left side. If I cut these 2 out, then we get a little margin on the top. So why are we not?
Do you use commas?
Why are we not getting margin now?
Are you trying to select too many things at once?
Yes. Yes. James, you actually said it first. You said missing commas. And that's exactly the reason. Because this style is going to apply to any... So if you have an H3, you're like, okay, cool, I have an H3. But then do you have an H3 that contains a paragraph that contains a button? No. This style is only going to be applied to elements with a button class that's inside of a paragraph that's inside of an H3. And so you're right. You need the... And then, boom. If you add the paragraph, or if you add the commas, now you can see that we have some space there. So it looks pretty close. It does look pretty close.
That's way simpler than mine.
It is very close. So good job. All right, cool. So who has the next? Next we're looking at, we got Javier. So let's see, schedule container. Margin 5, schedule container. That's, if we look at our schedule container, let's go ahead and open up inspect too so we can see. So we have our schedule container. And you can see the orange around this container? This is what he's added. So we do have some margin there. Let's compare it. So it looks like once you have the border, actually, that's going to be good. You know, it's about 5. The sides are maybe a little bit bigger, but yeah. So without the border, it's a little harder to tell, but we are going to need like a margin of like 5, so that's good too. Nice, nice. Good job. Who's next? All right, so we have... Oh, you actually came in late, so you weren't able to complete it. Who's next? Tiffany. All right. Button dark. Button dark, margin top, and margin bottom. So I'm not seeing any styles applied here. Do you know why?
I'm not really sure. I was trying to make it so the button could go down a little bit.
Are you targeting an element? Are you targeting a class? Are you targeting an ID?
So what I'm targeting is I just went when I scroll up, I just see, oh, okay, the dot is missing. Now I see it.
All right, so let's add that in. Good catch.
Okay.
And then, yes. So if we comment it out, uncomment it, yeah. So you're adding some good space there. Probably could use a little bit more, but that is good. That is good, good, good.
Okay.
So it didn't style the whole thing, but you were starting to add some styles. And then we have Anna has 16, Ricky has 8. So let's go ahead and look at Ricky's. All right. So this is looking pretty spot on. Pretty spot on. I mean, the only thing I would add is maybe a little bit of margin to the bottom to match it a little bit more. But besides that, it looks... and you have the border. It's, yeah, that's really... that looks like the closest so far with 8 lines of code. I think the only one that was a little... that was almost there was James with 2 lines of code, but yours is definitely more complete as far as like the border and all the styling. So cool, cool. And then we have Anna. All right, this is looking good too. This
I
is
need a margin on my border. I see that now.
yes, You caught that. Nice catch. So a little bit of margin on the outside of your border, and then also you applied a little bit of margin on the left side of the button, which
Yeah,
it looks
that
like.
doesn't need to be there.
But besides that, yours is very close to Ricky's as well as far as completeness. So yours was 16 lines of code. Nice. Cool, cool. All right, so who do you all think did the cleanest, the most complete, and the least amount of code?
I like Ricky's.
Who else? I agree with you, Anna. I think Ricky's was the cleanest, so we're going to go ahead. We'll clean up all the rest of these other ones. And good job, Ricky. And we will go ahead and integrate Ricky's. So we could go ahead and just, this is good for now. We are very close, very close. It looks like the clock can be a little bit bigger. I think we need a little bit of margin at the top and then a little bit of margin at the bottom. We could add that directly to the schedule container. Besides that, it looks pretty clean. So we'll do that when we come back next Monday. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be doing an introduction to JavaScript. So what we'll do is we'll actually we'll make this whole thing disappear when we click dismiss. Next Monday, we'll complete the HTML and the styling, and we'll add this one on the bottom as well. So just some more basic HTML. Cool, cool. Awesome.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
The JavaScript class, is that gonna be like a beginner's class? 'Cause JavaScript
Yes.
is like the most confusing thing
Yes.
to. Okay.
Yeah. And I encourage you to ask
Well,
is
as you can see, I'm confused. I'm confused all around actually. So, okay.
you know, when I first started getting into JavaScript, I got a book on JavaScript and I read like 3 pages and I was like, screw this. So I'm with you. It's like, especially for me, my background is in like business, sales, that sort of thing. And so I started teaching myself coding back in like 2017, and I was not good at math. I was not good at slowing down. I was not good at taking my time and learning this. It's very technical. And so I was like, I'm not cut out for this. But, you know, just stick to it and take your time, and it'll come to you eventually. You're going to have a ton of aha moments, and I encourage you to just ask as many questions as possible. So I like to slow down, take my time, make sure everybody understands. And for every question you ask me, I'll ask you 5.
Okay.
So I want to get you thinking and learning how to think through this stuff and solve problems on your own, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool. What about everyone else? So this week, I believe we're going to be doing the introduction to HTML and CSS on Mondays. We're going to be doing the introduction to JavaScript on Wednesday. We're going to be doing the data structures and algorithms on Friday. And then starting next week, I'm going to be doing same thing. Monday, introduction to HTML and CSS. Wednesday, introduction to JavaScript. Friday, data structures, algorithms. But we're also going to be adding Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays will continue with the full scale project, and I'm just waiting on Parker to get back to me with exactly what he wants to teach and how he wants to get involved. So I'm going to be taking over the full scale project, the voting system, and I'm going to focus mostly on front end, but I'm going to be having some conversations about progress that we're making with the back end as well. I'm actually hopping in a call right now with another developer, and we're building the authentication service for that voting application. So basically a server that allows you to sign in, that sort of thing, and we're building that with Java. So I'll share that a little bit, but I do want to stay focused on front end and just stay focused for now. And then as far as anyone who wants to actually come and attend the back end stuff and build back end stuff with us eventually, I'm going to open that up in a few weeks, and at least for people who are ready, that sort of thing. But what's up, James?
Is it scheduled in the events channel?
Yes.
Like
yes.
Monday to the like what's going to happen on each day?
Yes.
Are you putting that in the events channel? So
Yep. Events right at the top. Yep.
Okay.
So I haven't added data structure algorithm on Friday yet, but I'll add that probably tomorrow.
So does this include the monthly thing, right? We pay $20 a month, and this includes everything that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, Monday through Friday. The thing is, though, I'm telling you right now, once that new website comes up, I've been putting a lot of time into this website, about like 6 hours a day, and man, it's thorough. I'll pull it up real quick just so you all can see like a little bit of it, but. Yeah, so you all will be grandfathered in at the low price, but it's going to jump way up like so I'm working on a lot of this technical stuff. But essentially we have instead of going through Discord, we're using the Zoom API. So when you sign up and you choose which subscription you want, you're going to be able to choose, like, do you just want access to Intro to HTML? Do you want access to Intro to JavaScript? So you're going to be able to choose which one you want to be involved in. Like tonight was Intro to HTML. You're going to have the option to just join that one. But you're also going to have the option to join Intro to HTML. Then you're also going to have the option to join all of them. Right now, if you sign up for newbie membership, you have access to all of them for $20 a month, which is like crazy because once the website is launched and we're going through Zoom and we're going through Stripe and the whole system is set up, for all of them, it's probably going to be like $250 a month, something like that. In the range of what should be charged for something like this. And then you'll just be getting an email every Sunday. Let's just say, for example, you sign up for like intermediate JavaScript, for example. You'll be getting an email every Sunday, so you'll get all of the events. You'll get Monday through Friday, all of the events. There might be 10, there might be 20, depending on how many teachers we have. And the one that you're actually subscribed to is the one you'll have premium access to, which is like one of the main reasons we went through Zoom, because we're going to be able to send Zoom links to people based on their subscription. And the one that you're signed up for, you're going to be able to click that link and you have privileged access to those ones. So it's just like, it's so much better. It's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much easier. All of the questions are going to be answered. And yeah, it's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much easier. It's sort of going to turn into like a social media site as well. So it's going to make it really easy to connect and communicate with other developers. But we're going to keep Discord, so we're going to keep Discord just as a community. But we're just not going to host events here anymore. We'll have like open sessions for like, just like if you're free that day and you want to code with other people, or, like just a place for people to gather and talk and communicate and that sort of thing. But as far as like any events, we're going to move entirely over to Zoom. So kind of just like in the middle of that right now. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So we see you Wednesday, right?
Yes. Wednesday.
JavaScript. Okay.
Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Eastern time, right? 5 Central time, right?
Eastern Standard Time. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then if you're curious about any of the events, like James said, just come up here. You'll see the events. And I'm gonna be adding more to this stuff. Like I said, if anyone is interested in actually like teaching a class, let me know. So if you look at my schedule, I'm doing classes. I'm going to be doing classes Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. So you'll have access to those if you're on the newbie membership. Even if you're not on the newbie membership, you'll have access just to watch and listen and all that stuff. But for the people who actually do want to come to the back end stuff, I'm not launching a back end subscription anytime soon. Like, it's going to be a few months. It's really important to me to just get this front end boot camp set up properly with the website, through Stripe, through Zoom, before even thinking about anything back end. And so I do want to make back end training available to people, though, without having to integrate it directly into the boot camp. So if you're interested in back end, there's a couple things. One is I'm doing Monday through Friday. I want to open up 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. for people who are interested in learning back end. It's not for everybody. Obviously the people who are showing up, the people who are committed, the people who are very helpful, the people who seem to be learning the quickest, the people who seem to be participating the most, that sort of thing. I want to open it up for those people. When the website is launched, it's going to be all automated. So it's going to be based on involvement, participation, how long you've been a member, that sort of thing. But two of the main things is, one, I want people to teach classes. And it's not a lot. It's just a 1 hour class per week. So if you're like, hey, I could teach a class, but I don't know like how comfortable I am teaching a class. Like, I'm not a master at JavaScript. That's okay. What we did today, Introduction to HTML, where we just figure out how to build elements and style things, you could teach that. We could have 10 people teaching that. There's no limit on it. If this is what you want to teach because this is what you feel comfortable teaching, and you have this level of experience where you're not quite ready to start doing more responsive stuff or full pages, that's okay. And also, it doesn't have to be 6 to 8. It could be, because we're all in different time zones. Ricky's in Australia. You know what I'm saying? So for him, it's like, I don't even know what time it is right now for him. But I talked to him the other day, and he was like, I got to go. It's like 4 a.m. I'm like, that's crazy. I think it was like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, it's 4 a.m. for you? I'm like, what are you doing up, man? So it really comes down to like, what are you comfortable teaching and what time are you comfortable teaching? Because I want to make as many classes available for as many people at as many different times as possible. And one of the ways that we're able to do that is if people step up and they teach for an hour a week. And if you step up and you teach for an hour a week, I'm inviting you to join me for building real world projects, front end and back end. Looking at the architectural diagrams, service diagrams, state flow diagrams, user flow diagrams, class diagrams, basically the blueprints of a system, and sequence diagrams, communication from front end to back end, and turning those diagrams into real code regardless of the language, using the best language for the job. Sometimes Java, sometimes Python, sometimes Node.js, sometimes React, sometimes Angular. We'll decide when we get there. Whatever is the best tool for the job. And you're going to learn that. I remember when I first started hosting in-person events back in 2021, because I was just looking for in-person events and I couldn't find them anywhere. And there was this guy who came. His name was Jason. Or his name still is Jason. But he's a solutions architect. And I would always ask him, like, hey, what's the best language? Should I learn React or Angular, or should I learn Python? And he was always like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to build? He would never answer my question directly. And that's kind of how it is. We're not just going to be like, we just use React because we know React. We look at the problem. We look at the problem we're trying to solve, and we choose the best tool for the job. And so for people who are willing to teach one class, 1 hour per week at the time and the subject you choose, I invite you to come and do back end with me and real world projects with me and work through problems with me and with other experienced engineers. So you'll have access to that. The other thing, besides teaching one class per week, is hosting one event per month in your location. So that's how I started. I was looking for an in-person meetup. I couldn't find one anywhere, and so I hosted them. And that right there, teaching and hosting events and networking with other people in my area were two of the things that helped me learn the fastest, and they're still helping me learn. So as part of this boot camp, I want those to be two big pieces. One, getting as many people to teach as possible, because teaching shows you where your blind spots are. They show you where you need to improve, and they also help you reinforce everything you know. Events are going to help you connect with people you never would have connected with before. Architects, engineers, data science people. It's going to help you connect in a way that you weren't able to connect. And in return for those two things, teaching a class a week and hosting an event per month, I'm going to invite you into like working through real problems with real engineers. So just throwing that out there. I also don't want to like say, hey, you have to do this. You could just come to class. That's totally fine. If you're not down, that's totally fine. But I do want to open that up for people who do want to grow faster, who want to maximize their learning and that sort of thing. Because I am trying to build this. I do want to turn this into something big, and it's still new. You know, if I could just hire people and pay people right now, I would do that. But I want to deliver value in a way where it benefits everybody. It benefits us, and it helps us grow as a business and as an organization that can provide even more value to people, not just in my state or in my country, but globally. And yeah, so just sharing that with everybody.
I like everything you're saying, and I like how this was like advertises like free and then pay to join if you want to interact and all of that. And I like, for me personally, my situation, I have a lot of free time right now, and what you're saying is very like interesting to me. But I'm also like what you said, like not very comfortable because I'm like new or whatever. But I do like the idea of like having events and like sharing with people, and like that I find that interesting. Like I'm an artist, so like I do events type stuff anyway, so like I'm comfortable with that. So I don't know.
Cool.
It sounds cool. I'm interested. I don't know where I'm at as far as like teaching other people.
Yeah, totally. You know, and I wouldn't want to throw you in there when you're not ready either. So when the time comes, we could definitely cross that bridge when we get there, and then obviously I'll do it. I'm kind of like building trainings and building documentation, so it's really just like the road ahead is like perfectly documented
It sounds like
and explained.
You definitely got a lot of moving parts, and I'm just like sitting here wondering like how do you like plan all of these different projects for all of these different teachers of different teaching levels and people of different skill levels to have projects for them and coordinating, like it's a lot.
Yeah. So when it comes time to bring on the team, I'll show you exactly my process of how I come up with stuff and how I go about class. The thing is, I want people coding. 90% of the time, people should be coding. That's how they learn. You know?
For sure.
So that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, just keep coming, keep coding, keep getting involved, participating in all that stuff, and when we'll cross that bridge when we get there for sure. Cool.
Alrighty, have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.